This scenario begins almost exactly the same as the first movie. However, it is different because the main antagonist of the movie, Viggo Tarasov, is the head of OCP, and his son Iosif is also a worker, and so is John Wick's mentor, Marcus. The movie begins very similarly, where John encounters Iosif at a gas station and he tries to get John to sell his car, but John refuses, leading to Iosif and his gang breaking into his home to steal his car and kill his dog, Daisy. However, instead of just beating up John, they also mortally wound him as well as killing Daisy, leaving him to die. They leave his body behind, but after they have gone, Marcus arrives at John's house and finds his body. He takes him to OCP, where he is put into a project known as RoboCop, in which he becomes a cyborg working as a law enforcement officer, with help being built from Aurelio. When he is RoboCop, John doesn't appear to remember his past life when he is RoboCop, but he is able to uphold the law and stop many crimes, until he once again encounters Iosif, who is robbing the gas station. Iosif again says the same line he said before, only for John to then respond the same thing he said before again. This makes Iosif realise that RoboCop is John, and opens fire on him, saying that he killed him with his gang, but this causes John to regain his memories of his past life completely. He wants to kill Iosif, but his 3 directives he has, just like RoboCop, prevent him from killing him. Instead, he arrests him and places him incarcerated. After this, Viggo learns of his son's arrest and breaks him out of the prison, and Iosif informs him that RoboCop is John. Viggo plots to confront John to talk him out of retribution. Meanwhile, John is looking at Iosif's police database with help from Marcus, and he learns that he is the son of the OCP CEO, who Marcus says he cannot arrest or harm due to his directives, so he plans to erase his directives so he can kill those responsible for Daisy's death. Marcus helps him by telling him to use electric power, so John shocks himself using a transformer, erasing his directives and making him free of control. After this, Viggo contacts John and asks him to avoid retribution, but John refuses to talk. Viggo then sends hitmen after John while he is at an abandoned steel mill, but John kills them all with brutality using all the gadgets he has as RoboCop. Viggo then puts a $2 million bounty on John's head, just like in the movie. He offers it to Marcus, who accepts under the guise of pretending not to be affiliated with John being saved or helping him. John then seeks assistance from a Continental hotel where he checks in after briefly encountering Sharon, the receptionist. He then encounters the manager Winston, an old friend of his. Through the armour, Winston recognises John's voice and he gives him the Continental to rest in and helps him out. Just like in the movie, the Continental Hotel has the same features where killing is not permitted on the grounds of it. Winston then reveals that Iosif is under guard at Viggo's nightclub, the Red Circle. John encounters the Red Circle and he kills a horde of thugs to reach Iosif. However, just like in the movie, Iosif narrowly escapes after Viggo's Lieutenant Kirill fights and incapacitates John using an RPG, slightly damaging his armour. After this, John retreats to a Continental to have his injuries treated by an OCP scientist who is secretly affiliated with a Continental. This scientist is the Doctor from movies played by Randall Duck Kim. Miss Perkins, an assassin and former acquaintance, sneaks into John's room to kill him to claim a bounty, which is doubled for those willing to break the no-killing rule of a Continental. Marcus, however, alerts John via his comms, which he has in his RoboCop armour, allowing him to subdue Perkins, who is forced to reveal Viggo's location, and to John. Like the first film, John knocks her unconscious and leaves her with Harry, a fellow assassin, to await punishment, but she frees herself and kills Harry. John then travels to a church in Little Russia which serves as Viggo's front and destroys his cache of money and blackmail material using his flamethrower he has in his RoboCop armour. When Viggo and his henchmen arrive, John ambushes them, but he is outnumbered by them and he's ambushed, subdued and captured, similar to how RoboCop was captured in RoboCop 2. Just like in the movie, Viggo taunts John for thinking he will be able to leave his old life behind, And just like in the first movie, John says the exact same monologue about being back. Before John can be killed by being ripped apart using heavy machinery that Vigor has, ripping all his limbs and his head off, Marcus once again intervenes by shooting the machinery, allowing it to break John free, and then John takes down the guards with his gun. He then strangles Kirill to death by grabbing his neck, and then he accosts Vigor, who reveals Iosif's location. John then travels to Iosif's safe house and kills him and his bodyguards in a brutal fight. He kills Iosif with an OCP rocket launcher that he used to damage his helmet. Perkins then learns that John and Marcus had been in contact, and Marcus was the one who saved John by turning him into RoboCop with help from Aurelio, and she informs Vigor, who has Marcus beaten and tortured before killing him in his home, in a similar manner to how Bob Morton was killed in the first RoboCop movie. While waiting for John, Perkins is summoned to a meeting with Winston, who has her executed for breaking the Continental's rules just like in the movie, because she attacked John and killed Harry, both on the grounds of a Continental. Winston then calls John to inform him that Vigor is planning to escape by helicopter. John races to a harbour in his police car, where he kills Vigor's remaining henchman with his machine pistol before fighting Vigor on the dock. Vigor pulls out a knife and tries to stab through John's armour, and when that fails, he slashes John's head. But John disarms and fatally wounds Vigor by stabbing him with his own blade and leaves him to die. His last words to John, just like in the movie, being,
"Good seeing you, Doc,"
as John leaves him. John breaks into an animal clinic to treat his wounds to his head because the wound damaged his skin, and he releases a pit bull puppy that was scheduled to be euthanized. John and the dog walk home along the boardwalk where he had a final date with Helen, setting up chapter 2.